Morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton. My guest in studio this morning is Lisa Sheppard. She is the facilitator for the Sangamon Valley CEO program, and her colleague Melanie Brown, who facilitates the Central Illinois CEO program, joins us here momentarily. But good morning, Lisa.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
Happy New Year, by the way.
Yes, it is New Year's already.
I know it. We're 12 days in. Now, I got to ask this because I've asked a few people this. When is like the cutoff for when I have to stop saying Happy New Year? Because I know I've seen you a couple of times, but I haven't said Happy New Year. So, like, when do I have to stop saying that?
Maybe by the 15th.
Okay.
And I guess it kind of depends on how often you see them and when you see them in what setting.
Yeah,
so,
for sure. But anyways, appreciate you making time for us. Now, last time we talked, you had a class business. Your kids were working on the class business. They had a big event right before Christmas. How'd that go?
They did a fantastic job. They executed their class business. I'm moving on to January. Let me get that date correct. December 18th, it was called Miracle Off Main Street, and they had coordinated horse-drawn wagon rides through quaint little Monticello, and then had a great event for the family with cookie decorating and ornament decorating. They had Santa and hot cocoa bar. It was just a great event and well executed for the whole family. And I was just really proud of how each student really owned their area with a class of 9 and so many activities going on. They really each had to take ownership for one of those areas. And it was neat to see them get the right people in the right places. It really played to each of their strengths and was a well-organized, well-run event. And we were all very proud of them, myself and our board included.
So a lot of this experience for the kids is, trial and error and you hate to say it, but failure and learning. As you step back and watch them take that project on, what concerned you watching them? And then, did your concerns get eased as things came together and then, ultimately, came together through the program? How about that?
Yes. The neat thing about CEO is that it is a hands-on experience, and Melanie and I are facilitators on purpose, where we guide and direct and make sure everything stays legal and on the rails. But other than that, we really try to have it be a student-driven event, because you learn so much by figuring out the nuances and figuring out what works and doesn't work. And you're going to try some things that don't work. And that's part of life, and that's part of business, and it's part of preparing them for what's next. None of us are going to go with them to their job or their trade school or college.
You can't hold their hand all the way through that.
No. And so CEO gives them that experience of that next step. We're going to give you a little rein. We're going to see what you do with it, and we're going to help you along the way so that you're ready and prepared for what's next. So, for example, with our class business, one of their challenges early on is that we needed to shift the date. We had an unexpected basketball tournament for a student that we didn't account for, and the team had to make the decision. Do we figure out how to pull it off without this team member, or do we change the date? Both which have their own pros and cons, and really proud of the group in that part of the learning and part of the best part of it is, how do you have those conversations as a team? And we all know from the business world, those are tough. And those are tough when you're 18 years old, and they walked through that and figured it out and moved the date so all the team members could be there at the time. And was really proud of the way they did it.
Sure. Welcome, Melanie. How are you this morning?
Hi, great. Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming in and talking with us. And so Lisa is telling us about her class's business that they put on right before Christmas. You had a similar event as well. Tell us how you guys did.
We did. We had a Christmas-themed 5K called the Holiday Hustle that also included a bake sale and silent auction, and that was held on December 17th. It went really well. The numbers are still being tallied and bills are still being paid. But the students did a great job of executing the project from start to finish, really utilizing their network in the community. I know just, one number that comes to mind is they had $5,000 in sponsorships. So
wow.
that means that these students initiated business meetings, went out and made proposals, sold sponsorship, whether it was on t-shirts or banners or different components of the group business, and then really followed through with what they said they were going to do to those business leaders.
Yeah. That tells me you've got a real go-getter group. Fair to say?
Yes. I think that is one of the items that, they were charged with in the very beginning of the school year, and they were like deer in headlights. They had not experienced going out and sitting down and having a business meeting, making a proposal, making an ask. And once they built the confidence and they walked through it, kind of stumbled through it even, they really saw the power of it and really just embraced it. And so I would say that they did the best job with that and the marketing in their group business.
So, and I asked Lisa this question just a moment ago, what things as their project is coming together are you sitting back and watching and thinking, oh man, I don't know if that's going to work, and you don't want to jump in and say that's not going to work, guys, you can't do that, but you have to watch them learn that lesson. Do you mind speaking to some of those things you watched that you were like, I don't know if that's going to happen?
Well, just the event in general. Initially they had said December 3rd, and 3 weeks prior to the event we still didn't even have registration up and live. And so Lisa did such a great job coaching me as I coached them, which I think just speaks volumes that, that's real life. Many times you'll go to your peers or your boss and you work through and you talk through things of what the situation that you're faced with looks like and how you can overcome it and still succeed. And so I had to approach the students and said, hey, what would it hurt if we push this back 2 weeks, if we selected a different date? And what do we need to do to make sure that that's okay? And one of the things is we literally had just signed a contract with the race timing business.
Yeah.
So if we break that contract, are we going to have to pay a fee? What does that look like? And just as I coached them through that conversation that they needed to have, and then the due diligence of getting a new contract and re-signing it, and then the communication, it was interesting, but and I guess the coolest thing is they felt defeated at first. They felt that they had failed. And I really had to lift them up and say, you guys, people will launch a book and maybe the books don't show up, or there's a printing problem. And so then you push the launch back a week or two. Businesses do this all the time.
Right.
No different than
You
other
have
businesses.
to.
Yes, you do. And it's to serve the people better. We could have done it on December 3rd. It was so much better on December 17th. And at the end, they were like, those 2 weeks made such a difference.
Yeah.
So I would say that was one of the biggest things where I sat back and was like, how are we going to do this? And we needed to make some adjustments. And we did, and it was successful.
Sure.
And as facilitators, we have to gauge whether it's our classes are fully engaged and most of our students are working really hard. And so Melanie and I know that if it's a fact of the students being lazy or not engaging, then we're not going to push a date. We're going to let that be the life lesson. Okay, if you are not engaging in the process, it's going to be tough.
Wow.
But when we see and get to know our students and know how hard they're working and how they're reaching out to get these sponsorships, execute a contract, and then see, oh, wow, if we let this go, it's going to be a train wreck, and they've worked really hard, and you don't want that to be the end result. And that's where you do see in business. I work in design, and you don't know when a contractor is going to have to finish a little bit later because of materials not showing up. And so it is a lot of real life lessons.
Yeah, definitely. Well, anything on your class businesses that you ladies want to put out there we didn't touch on? Anything from your perspectives?
One of the things that I would love to share is over Christmas break, we hosted an alumni gathering. And so students from previous years came back, and one of the questions I asked them, okay, students just finished up group business. Now they're on to individual business. What did you like better? And they all were hands down, we love group business.
Oh, really?
Which I found interesting, because looking back, I always ask that question after we do group business. Are you sad to see it go? Are you ready for individual business? How do you feel about it? And they're all so over group business and ready to start their own adventure. But then looking back, they liked the team. They, that perspective that they can, say, all right, now I've experienced both. What was better for me?
Mhm.
And it was interesting that the majority said, I really think it was 99% of them said we like the group business. So asking my students now after finishing up group business, and some of the emotions are still lurking a little, they are 100% all excited for individual business.
Yeah,
So it's
for
just
sure.
neat to see how they shift from one to the other, which is why we give them the experience to do both.
Definitely. Well, glad things went well for everybody. I'll tell you what, let's take a time out here, ladies, and come back. I know, Lisa, you want to talk about recruiting, and we'll get to a few other things as well. Lisa, how do folks follow your Sangamon Valley CEO kids?
We are at sangamonvalleyceo.com or Facebook at the Sangamon Valley CEO.
Very good. And Melanie, you?
CentralIllinoisCEO.com or Central IL CEO on Facebook and Instagram.
All right, easy enough, guys. Let's take a time out here again. That is Melanie Brown, Central Illinois CEO Facilitator, and Lisa Sheppard, Sangamon Valley CEO Facilitator, our guests in studio. We've got plenty more with them next on The Morning Show.
WHOW.
Keep you connected.
Let's check the markets on the RFD Radio Network. I'm DeLaw's Yankee. Mixed, awfully quiet ahead of the report. March corn down 1.5, 654.5. May down 1.25, 654. July down 1.25, 647.25. Soybeans nearby March started double digits higher. Big cuts to the Argentine production, although a lot of that was expected. March soybeans up 6.5, 14.99.5. May up 4 3/4, 15.01 1/4. July up 4 1/4, 15.02. March wheat down 10, 7.30. KC down 7 1/4 at 8.15. Livestock contracts. February lean hogs down 120, 78.10. Feb live cattle down 77, 156.97. March feeders down 72, 184.82. This is the RFD Radio Network.
As a nonprofit store, Love It Once More Thrift Store in Clinton relies on your donations. So this month, if you bring us a donation, we'll give you a card worth 10% off your total purchase. This is Connie reminding you to check us out on Facebook or DeWittDailyNews.com.
This is Ryan Utterback with Utterback Real Estate. I'm ready for a jump start.
Man, I forgot my jumper cables.
No, I'm ready to help clients jump on a new home.
But what if they fall off?
And that's why you're the other Ryan.
Get a jump on the new year by clicking the Utterback Real Estate icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Life is uncertain. Stop in and see me, State Farm Agent Jason France, on the west side of the Clinton Square, or click our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com and see how our full lineup of State Farm insurance and financial services can help protect your family.
Local farm broadcaster Jared White covers the local agriculture news you need to know. Hear his reports by downloading the free WHOW mobile app.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, and good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHW Morning Show is streaming to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton, Melanie Brown, facilitator of the Central Illinois CEO program, and Lisa Sheppard, facilitator of the... Wait, I said Sangamon for you, didn't I?
No, you said right.
And she's the facilitator for the Sangamon Valley CEO program. That is Lisa Sheppard. All right. Sometimes I just start talking and I lose track of where I'm at. Anyways, let's talk recruiting, ladies. And those efforts are ongoing. And I know recruiting, particularly for the last couple of years, has been a huge focus because we saw coming out of COVID somewhat of a downturn of response and interest in the program. So, Lisa, what does recruiting look like for you lately?
It has been so nice to get back to in-person recruiting. Our program spent the day yesterday going to 4 of the 5 programs that are involved with our program. And then Tuesday afternoon, we were at D-Land Weldon. So have hit all 5 of our area schools, which are Argenta, Oriana, Bement, Cerro Gordo, D-Land Weldon, and Monticello. What is great is that it is student driven as well. So each of our students put together the part of the presentation that matters to them and speak to why they are a part of CEO. And not only do they get to tell their stories and tell why it's a great experience from a personal perspective, they get that opportunity to give a pitch in front of
Their
their
peers.
whole
Mhm.
their peers of their junior class, and I'm just so proud of the confidence and the growth in them over the course of time. It's funny, like each year I am surprised because we see them in professional dress, we see them early, and then I sometimes forget how far they've come, and then we walk back into a junior class, and um they just haven't been given those opportunities yet. And so to see the stark contrast of the confidence they gain.
So what does recruiting look like for you? Is it just simply in the schools? I know there's bring a junior to class day, something of that nature. Like, what have you done so far this year to try to gain some interest in the program?
Yeah, we've hosted one junior experience day so far. We are trying this year to host those junior experience days while recruiting is open. So I have 5 coming up in the next few weeks.
5 days?
5 different days.
Oh, my word. Holy
Yes.
smokes. Oh, okay.
We are jumping in. There's 5 different opportunities, including one tomorrow. In Argena that we're hoping to have juniors come out and just experience like what is a class and what does it, because it is much different than the regular school day.
Gotcha. When is the deadline for your program, the cutoff for applications?
February 15th, and I believe that's the same for both programs.
Okay, gotcha,
So
gotcha.
recruiting is open now. If you have a junior in your life who would make a great fit for either Sangamon Valley or Central Illinois, you can go to our websites, and that is the way that you apply. And a lot of times the students do need a little bit of encouragement and a little bit of push because it's much different experience than what they're used to.
Definitely. Melanie, what has recruiting looked like for Central Illinois CEO?
Well, we do a very similar setup with Lisa. Get out in front of the students, let our students tell the story. They are the best selling tool. I think one of the things that I want to mention too is, and one of the student slides presentation says, who is CEO for? And, if you're listening and you're like, oh, my kid isn't interested in business, this isn't for me. Or, if you are a student listening and you're like, I don't love math, I don't love spreadsheets and accounting. CEO is for so many different individuals. It is for the undecided individual. One of the things that I state at the beginning of the year is if you sign up for CEO and we go to a site visit and you leave there and you say, nope, I have no interest in doing that, and you move that off of the table of opportunities in your future, that's a success. It's not a failure. It's not a waste of your time. We need to eliminate things that aren't our best yes. They aren't our gifts or our passion. And so that is great for the undecided student. It's for the student who needs to improve their communication skills. I have 2 students who both want to be business owners after school, and they both signed up because they don't like speaking in front of people. They're very socially awkward, and they said that they had that from within to say, I need to do this to better myself. And they stood up in front of an entire sophomore and junior class yesterday at Warrensburg, and with a microphone on the stage talked and presented and talked about CEO. And just to see the growth and the confidence, it's absolutely amazing. It's great for leadership. It is a resume builder, as much as that makes me cringe sometimes because I don't want that to be the sole purpose. It is the truth. I mean, the things and the opportunities that they are given in CEO it is fantastic for resumes and scholarships and just personal development. So they're going to get something out of it. It's not just on a piece of paper. They are going to experience it as well. And then it is for the person who's like, hey, I do want to go into business, marketing, advertising, human resources, those types of areas. They're going to get a lot of information on that. So this CEO experience is for a multitude of students.
So what have you guys been doing to reach out to students?
Well, we are doing the same as going out to all the schools and doing the presentations. We also are trying to focus in on, the parents and the community education. So the students are going to all the school boards that we represent. We started in December, and in the next couple of weeks, we'll be going to school board meetings and telling the school board our story. A lot of times you have parents and students attending that. Some of the school board members got on the school board after CEO launched. In the past 2 years, we haven't had the opportunity to go out and speak to the school board and let the students tell their story, and thank them for their support in this opportunity. So really, recruiting isn't just January 1st through February 15th. I feel like Lisa and I are doing that all year round by having the students engage in school boards in their communities, at the assemblies with the students
Yeah,
and,
for
and
sure.
other areas.
So can I ask a question? What is when a student applies, what happens next? I mean, is it just a review by yourselves? Does the board review those applications? What takes place after a student says, I want to be a part of it? Here's my application. What happens next?
Good question. And the beauty of CEO is it's a blind application process. So what happens is each of our boards have one member who is allowed to see who is actually applying. And so they know the names in the schools so that they can be in contact with the schools and say, hey, so-and-so is missing this reference or something like that. Otherwise, that one person makes sure that all the names and email addresses and school information is redacted from that application.
Oh.
And then another committee on our board actually makes the selection from those applications without the names and the schools or, gender on the application. So it is
Gotcha.
truly each student has a equal opportunity based on their so they have their own personal reference and then 2 letters of recommendation, typically one from a school and one from either a boss or personal family friend is how they are selected for CEO.
Gotcha. Very good. Ladies, I've got 1 minute with you. Melanie, is that pretty similar to how it works with you as well?
Yes, all CEO programs are application process done very similarly.
Okay.
And, it's just a great opportunity for them to kind of focus on what their skill set is, because there is a self-assessment as part of that application process, and write their letter of intent. And, if our numbers get high enough to where we have to select students, they would be an interview process with that.
Gotcha.
But it's just real world. And that is the hope for CEO. From the start to the finish, they have a real world experience.
Where do folks go to apply for your program, Melanie?
CentralIllinoisCEO.com.
And Lisa, you?
SangamonValleyCEO.com.
Ladies, thank you so much for your time this morning. Melanie Brown and Lisa Sheppard with the local CEO chapters. Network News on the way.
The Big 1520 WHOW Clinton, 92.3 FM, W222 BG Clinton, 106.5 FM.